Hello everyone and welcome to Medicated Housewife DIY, where crafting and mental health come together. My name is Sarah. Today's video is a cinnamon stick Christmas tree DIY. We are making these 3 adorable cinnamon stick Christmas trees that will fill your home with deliciousness. They smell amazing. They're beautiful DIYs that you're gonna love so much. So stick around and let's go make some stuff and jump right into this. In today's DIY video, we are making 3 adorable little Christmas trees using cinnamon sticks. These are quick and easy DIYs, but so cute, and they all smell amazing. I'm using these 6-inch cinnamon sticks that I got on Amazon. I'll link them in the description box below, but I know you can get whole cinnamon sticks elsewhere too. I think Dollar Tree has them, but they are probably a little shorter than these. This first DIY is a cinnamon Christmas tree wall art. Using 10 of our cinnamon sticks, this small 5x7 canvas from Dollar Tree, some FolkArt paint in the color Beachcomber Beige, and these garland ties that I know you can get at Dollar Tree, but mine of course did not have any in stock. So I got these on Amazon. I'll link it below. They're just pieces of garland on a wire that's very pliable. I assembled the 10 cinnamon sticks onto the canvas with a little space in between them, and I used painter's tape to tape them down so that they would not move around while I used my ruler to mark a Christmas tree like triangle shape onto the sticks. This is so I know the length that I'm going to cut each of the sticks. I just wanted to mark where I'm going to make my cuts. I use just one single piece of tape down the middle, and that's after marking the middle with my ruler. The middle is 3 inches because the sticks are 6 inches. That is probably the only math that I can do in my head, so there's that. I did a rough triangle shape, and I'm using chalk to do all my markings because it's super easy to remove and it won't leave any residue or anything like that if you use a damp cloth to remove it afterwards. I just draw a triangle shape with the chalk onto the taped down cinnamon sticks. After removing the tape, I place my cinnamon sticks to the side off of the canvas, making sure to keep them in the same order they were marked. That's just to make my life easier when it's time to cut, and I proceed to paint my canvas with the Beachcomber Beige. I think I only really did 1 coat, that's all it really needed, and then I set the canvas to the side to dry. Then, you guys, I am breaking out my handy little mini chop saw. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know I have a history of disappointments with this mini saw. It doesn't do a great job on tumbling tower blocks. It did a horrible job on the wooden legs for a pedestal bowl that I made. I mean, it's just a disappointment. But I will say, this baby sawed right through these cinnamon sticks, like right through them. So they might want to consider changing up their advertising for this mini saw to specify that. I mean, it cuts cinnamon sticks. That's all I'm saying. It's accurate. Next, I used a wire cutter to cut the garland ties in half, and I wrapped the wire ties around my already cut cinnamon sticks. I did need to trim the garland shorter for the really, really short stick pieces toward the top of the tray. Next, I had one of those little mini tree stumps from Dollar Tree. I cut it in half right down the middle so that it would sit flush on my canvas with the rounded side facing out to give the wall art more of like a 3D effect. And I used my Waverly Antique Wax to darken it up a bit. Then I used hot glue, specifically the Gorilla Hot Glue sticks, and I glued the half tree trunk at the bottom of the tree, which is the middle bottom of my canvas. I then glued each of the garland wrapped cinnamon sticks onto the canvas in size order from longest on the bottom to the shortest on the top. Now, trying to decide what the best tree topper / star would be for a Christmas tree made of cinnamon sticks, the obvious choice was star anise, which you can say a star anise or star anise, star anise. Both pronunciations are correct, so if nothing else, you've learned that from me today. Star anise is a spice from China that smells like licorice, and although I have never eaten it, it looks just like a star and it's pretty cool looking. So I think it's a great choice for our cinnamon stick tree today. I did use a little of my FolkArt Treasure Gold paint and a dry brush to brush over the star anise just to give it a little extra something before I used it on top of our tree. I wanted to give the tree some reddish color to make it a little more festive, and at first I was going to use the berry pick that I had from Dollar Tree, but as I broke off the little berries from it, I quickly realized that the white foam under the paint was going to make using them impossible. So I switched gears and I grabbed these sparkly red beads I had in my stash, and they really did look very berry-like. So I initially used the Starbond glue to adhere them to the tree, but in the end I switched to hot glue because it just held the beads so much better. I also attached my star tree topper to the very top, and I used some hot glue for that as well. And this is how the first of my 3 cinnamon stick Christmas trees turned out. I truly think this is adorable. You can see the cinnamon sticks poking out through the green garland, and the green garland lets you know it's a Christmas tree. I think it's a festive piece of Christmas wall art that would look amazing leaning against a mantle or even hung on the wall. The fact that it's cinnamon scented makes it even better because it could make the whole room smell so good. The star anise gives the whole thing a little more of an exotic vibe. This was a really beautiful but easy DIY. For the second DIY cinnamon stick Christmas tree, we are using, obviously, a cinnamon stick and raffia, which I happen to have bought this raffia on Amazon, which I'll link below, but any raffia that's made of folded paper will work for this. I start cutting pieces of the raffia a couple of inches longer than the cinnamon stick. It's not an exact science. You don't have to worry about the measurements. Just estimate, that's fine. You are going to cut a ton of these strips. Just keep cutting. I assure you, no matter how many you cut, you will at some point need to go and cut a couple more. So just keep cutting. Once you've got your strips cut, you take 2 and fold them in half, which will give you 2 loops. If you have ever made any of those macrame feathers or leaves, then you will recognize this, but if not, you take the first loop and tuck it under your stick, and then you take your second loop and take the legs of the first loop and pull them up and through the second loop, and then you take the legs of your second loop and pull them under and through that first loop, and when you tighten it, they will both be knotted onto the cinnamon stick. Now you're going to repeat this so many times. You should alternate which loop is under the stick each time. So if the first time the loop is on the left of the stick, then you do the right stick next, right of the stick next. You keep pushing the knots together to make more room for more knots, but the more that you can fit on there, the fuller your tree is going to be. Just keep pulling your tails through your loops over and over until the bulk of your cinnamon stick is now covered with all of these raffia knots. When I got about halfway done, I took some painter's tape and taped up the very top and the very bottom of my cinnamon stick, just so that I could be sure that the knots didn't slide off the top or the bottom as I was pushing them together. Once I got to the top of the cinnamon stick, I laid the tree down flat, and I used a ruler to shape out a triangle tree shape. And I had attempted to cut the excess first with an X-Acto knife, which failed miserably, and then with a pair of scissors that also, for whatever reason, didn't cut, and then a second pair of scissors, which seemed to do the trick. The whole thing doesn't look very pretty while I'm doing it, but I think you get the gist. You need to cut it into a triangle shape. It's really pretty simple. So the next part is super easy, but it is time consuming. So we have to unravel all the pieces of raffia, which I'm going to suggest that you do while watching TV or something, because it doesn't take too much of your attention, but it does take time. I did most of it while I was watching Netflix or something. I find the unraveling of the paper to be really relaxing anyway, and hopefully you will too. I gave the tree a little haircut to try and even it out a bit, and then I carefully removed the painter's tape one side at a time and used some hot glue to adhere the top and then the bottom knots to the cinnamon sticks so that they would not slide up or down. I used another one of those Dollar Tree mini tree trunks as my tree base. I drilled a hole in the middle and used a small piece of a toothpick into the hole in the base and up into the cinnamon stick. I secured it all with hot glue, and I'm using another gold trimmed star anise as my tree topper. The only thing left to do at that point is to fluff out your tree and twist your knots into all kinds of directions so that you can really round out the tree and make it nice and full. And this is how my second cinnamon stick Christmas tree turned out. Now, I know this tree isn't perfect. It could be more triangular, but I really like this tree. I think it's so chic and boho. It's very earthy, a little more delicate than rustic, but if you have neutral decor and want some neutral Christmas decor, then this is the tree for you. Again, the star anise gives it some exotic flavor, and that yummy cinnamon scent just puts it over the edge. I kind of wish I could make a giant version of this to keep in my house all year long. The third DIY cinnamon stick Christmas tree begins with me drilling a small hole into the middle of each of these cinnamon sticks that I picked out. The hole is just big enough to slide over a wooden skewer. I tried to find the straightest cinnamon sticks that I could, and there is no definitive number of sticks that you need to use for this. You can adjust it to how tall you want your tree to be, and that's totally up to you. I slide all the sticks onto the skewer just to try to get a sense of the size of the tree that I'm going to have. Once the cinnamon sticks are on the skewer, I tape them together on the skewer down the middle. And spoiler alert, the middle of these is 3 inches because they are 6-inch cinnamon sticks. I then use a ruler and a piece of chalk to mark a triangle like Christmas tree shape on the sticks. And I'm also going to flip them over and do the exact same markings on the opposite side, because these cinnamon sticks are going to be cut on an angle, and my lovely little mini cutter only cuts angles on one side, so I have to flip things over to cut the right angle on the opposite side, if that makes any sense. I'm sorry, it's late at night and I'm afraid I'll stop making sense. I then take out the mini cutter and begin cutting out the 45-degree angles at the spots that I marked on all of my cinnamon sticks, being careful to place them back in the same order after I'm done cutting, so that I know where everything is supposed to go at the end. I used another Dollar Tree mini tree trunk as my base and drilled a hole in the middle to fit the skewer that my cinnamon sticks are on. I also took a small piece of cinnamon stick and slid it on the skewer between the tree trunk and the rest of my stacked cinnamon sticks to make it a little bit more of a realistic tree trunk for the tree. And what I mean by that is it's as realistic as a tree made out of cinnamon can be. I also used a little bit of my Waverly antique wax to darken up the trunk so that it sort of coordinated better with the cinnamon sticks. I assembled all the cut cinnamon sticks onto the skewer and on my tree trunk, and picked out a couple of nice star anise from my bag of star anise that I will link for you below. And I also gave the edges of the star anise a little touch of the FolkArt treasure gold around the edges. I used hot glue during the assembly to secure the skewer to the tree trunk base, and then to secure the star anise tree topper. And this is how my third cinnamon stick Christmas tree turned out. This tree is so rustic looking and earthy, but it smells like you're baking cookies. It's awesome. I think this is a perfect little tree for your holiday table centerpiece, or maybe even on your dessert table alongside the apple pie. It's just really unique. I've never seen anything like it before, and if you're a cinnamon lover, you will love this tree. I hope you enjoyed all of these cinnamon stick Christmas trees, and let me know in the comments which one of these trees was your favorite, and tell me what your favorite way to use cinnamon sticks is. Thank you for watching this Medicated Housewife DIY video, and if you enjoyed it, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Until next time, I'm the Medicated Housewife, and crafting is my medication.